I feel like you can't always depend on motivation because motivation will not always be there. You're gonna have some highs and lows, right? There's gonna be days when you're really motivated and days when you're not. But I feel like what's more dependable would be discipline.
Right.
Right? Discipline means doing what you have to do, even whether you're not motivated or not.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for another episode of 12 TV. I'm Kevin, and here we got Julius and Alec, and together they are the co-owners and founders of Compound Cut Club. And we're just going to talk a bit about their journey on starting Compound and what got them into starting their own business. So, I guess you guys can both answer this separately. What got you into barbering? What was the first step?
It started in high school, 2011, 2012. I remember chilling with my boys, and it was Shane, if you remember. He was like, "Yo, Jules, I have a pair of Walmart clippers. I want a faux hawk." And I'm like, "Let's try it out." And we kind of winged it. I remember doing the faux hawk, and I'm like, "This is sick." I remember, I liked showing it off at the school. I'm like, "Oh, I cut that guy's hair, that guy's hair."
Yeah.
Eventually, more and more people would be like, "Yo, cut mine too, cut mine too."
Was that your grade 12 year?
Grade 11. Yeah. And then eventually I kind of became like the homie's barber, and
Mac barbershop?
Archbishop McDonald was the high school. I remember just doing it, and at one point, we were cutting in his washroom. We had the black garbage bag on him, and whenever we'd clean up, we'd just like vacuum him up. And there was the vibes. We were having music in the background, and we were cutting and having fun. And at one point, I'm like, man, how sick would it be if I had a barbershop at one point, and played music and had that type of vibes going on. And we just talked about it, and we were like, yo, that's cool, that'd be dope. And then I think it was since that time when I started like kind of making that vision kind of like, I started seeing that it was possible. I started seeing that, this could be real, I could actually do this.
You were grade 11?
Grade 11, grade 12. Around grade 12 was the time when I started thinking, maybe this could actually be possible.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started cutting. It was my 19th birthday. My brother got me my own pair of clippers, because at that time I was using Shane's clippers.
Yeah.
Got me my own pair of clippers, and I said, yo, look, let's buy a mirror, buy like an IKEA stool. And that's what I started cutting hair in the basement. And from there, I decided maybe I can also go professional. So I started applying at a bunch of salons, barbershops, just showing them my portfolio, showing them what I can do. But I didn't have formal training at the time, so I was kind of like just winging it. Hopefully they'll take me on as an apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah. From there, I worked at probably 4 shops until I found Alec's barbershop. Alec's barbershop is where I started to really grow my clientele, because that was the type of barbershop that wanted fades and the type of cuts that I like to do.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like really the first step of, me solidifying myself as a barber here in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Alec's barbershop.
How about you?
Good story.
What started it?
For me, this was back in 2016. I was in grade 12 playing basketball. Me and my homie Josh, we were just in his basement. We were like, yo, we can't really afford haircuts. We were broke. So he started cutting my hair. I was like, wait a minute, how come I trust this guy with my hair? I can't do his hair. So I started cutting his hair too. It didn't turn out as good as how he cut my hair, but I was like, after my second haircut, I already told myself, I was like, I'm gonna be a barber. This is gonna be my job. I don't know why, it was just like, it was in my head already, like, I'm gonna be a barber. This is gonna be my career after my second haircut.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I was just doing free haircuts because I enjoyed it so much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really want to make money off of it, but eventually I had to because I got busy.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, bro, the rest, it's just history, man.
Yeah. So after high school, did you go straight to?
I was just cutting for free.
Alec's barbershop too.
Right. 2016, I graduated high school, and then I was cutting that whole summer up until March. That's when Jules asked me hey man, can you help us out at Alex's? I'm going on vacation to Philippines. That's when I started cutting at Alex's, also with Blue.
Yeah.
That's when we started.
Yeah. How I remember how me and Alec first met. Tell me about the time we first met.
Oh man, I was recommended by like some of my homies. Like, oh, go to Alex's and ask for JR. I go in there. It's like, oh, okay. There's only 4 people waiting. I should probably be next with Jules because these guys go to that barber. This guy go to that barber. I'm gonna go to Jules, JR. I'm like, wait a minute. How come these guys not getting cuts? They all waiting for Jules, bro. I ended up being there for like 3 hours. I was like, yo, man. I was working landscape at the time. We just had a little break. Like, yo, man, you got me late for work again.
I remember when you first came, a few clients would ask the same thing, you know, oh, I'm interested in becoming a barber, this and that, what should I do, what kind of clipper should I get? But the difference with Alec was that, you know, I gave him some tips. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna help him out, right? Tell him which clippers to buy. And he was telling me he's doing free cuts. And I'm like, you know, at one point, keep doing the free cuts because that'll give you a lot of practice. That'll give you a step up above all the other new
Some
barbers.
people asked me, because they were free, right? It's like, oh, do you know how to do this? In my head, I was like, I'm gonna YouTube it after, but I'm like, yeah, man, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Just to be confident, right? And then I'd go to my YouTube, search up how to do that hairstyle.
Yeah, and I remember I was, whenever he'd come for cuts again, I tell him, yo, just come watch me. I'll show you some stuff too.
Yeah.
Right, and I kind of, eventually, every time he came, he would stay longer and longer and start shadowing me. Yeah, and I'm like, I saw, as he did that, I would watch his Instagram feed and I'd see his cuts getting better and better.
Yeah.
And eventually, it was March, you said, right? When I went to
Philippines.
Yeah, I went to Philippines and like,
2017.
look, Alec, my boss at the time, I told him I'm going to Philippines. He wants someone else to kind of help take over some of my clients because I'm going to be gone for a month. That's when I asked Alec to join the shop because I saw his potential. I saw
And Blue.
Yeah.
Alec and Blue. That's where we started developing in my head, I was already like also ready to
Thinking
kind of
ahead.
develop a team.
Yeah.
So at that time, I saw my best potentials was like Alec and Blue.
Yeah.
So at that time, I got Alec and I told Blue to join too.
Yeah.
At that point, we already started developing like a kind of like a culture and like a team setting. Right?
Yeah.
We'd pass like tips to each other and pass clients to each other, and that's where it really kind of started growing. In my head, it was like, this is where the team starts.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember going back to the beginning of your story when I was in university. That's when we met at McEwen. And I saw Shane's hair, who you also mentioned, and I was like, hey, Shane, who does your hair? He's like, oh, Jules. And I was like, okay. So I asked you, and then, I didn't really know what to expect, but then I'm driving 5 minutes away from my house to your basement, and I got my first haircut in your basement.
Was it fresh? Was it fresh?
Yeah. And then I never went back. That was probably, 2014 2014 probably.
I was in grade 10.
Yeah. And and then you went to Alec's barbershop, Northside barbershop, and I remember even myself having to wait like 3 hours sometimes for haircuts. And I'm sure you were getting tons of people like me saying, Jules, you got to do like some sort of booking, and then eventually got there, right? And then
Started with like 1 day a week.
Yeah, that's right. It came to a point where I started losing clients because the wait times was too long for me.
Yeah.
So you were like recommending, yo, let's do bookings. So I said, yeah, okay, let's try that out. So I started off with 1 day bookings.
Yeah.
Eventually that got too filled.
Yeah.
So I started 2 day bookings, and eventually a week, and then that's kind of how we.
And I remember like even just talking to people at Alex's barbershop, there's like people driving from Southside coming to see you like from all over the city, literally just to get a haircut and waiting however many hours to get a haircut. So
It was dope. I really have to thank Instagram, by the way, for like growing barbering as an industry in general.
yeah.
I don't think barbering would be where it is now if it wasn't for Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
Because at the
For sure.
time before, barbering wasn't really looked at as like a desirable trade to work at.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
kind of like it's just a barber, he just cuts hair, right?
Yeah.
But Instagram kind of made it cool because barbers were able to show off cooler haircuts and
Yeah.
designs and fades, and and I started seeing barbers market themselves this way. I
Yeah.
remember one of my
Yeah.
first inspirations was Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
It was an inspiration to me First, because we had the same name.
Yeah.
But secondly, this guy knew how to cut hair and present himself and market himself.
Yeah.
You know? He kind of had an image to show off as like this type of barber, you know what I mean, that people wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And back in high school, junior high, I didn't even know about fades. I go on Instagram and then all I see is fades. I'm like, okay, this is starting to be cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone into barbering if it wasn't for like the fading.
Yeah.
Like I ain't trying to just do number ones, bro. It's not really the cool. That's not as cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like
yeah.
there's art to it. There's
Yeah.
there's skill that you need to do.
But yeah, Instagram, I feel like in general, helped a lot of industries, especially in the beauty industry, help people, you know, market and show themselves off,
Yeah.
show their work off. So that was a big, big deal for me because
Yeah.
Instagram started around like 2012, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, you know, at that time it was just like an app. It's like, oh, I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is just like Facebook, but pictures only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that's where it really, you know, it started growing and people started showing off work there and
Yeah.
you could see it was a good marketing
I
tool.
remember when videos first came out, they were only like 15 seconds max.
For
max,
Instagram.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 seconds to show off.
How'd you like? What would you say you did on your end of things on Instagram that like really made a difference for you in your business?
For me, it just started off as me showing off the haircut, but then I realized when I would tag them, they would like, you know, kind of show it off on their page too.
Yeah.
So suddenly
Yeah,
I'm
when you
reaching
tag
all of their followers, right?
So-
the more people I cut and tag, the more they would kind of do the marketing for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
'Cause they want to show it off too. It's like, oh, I got a cool haircut from this guy.
I think
Yeah.
for my first year, I posted every single haircut on my story.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Like I would have so many like stories.
It wasn't story back then. It was just post you.
No.
posted.
It was
already
it
stories?
was story.
Oh yeah.
They were already story in 2016, 17.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cause I created a whole clientele just pretty much from Instagram.
So,
Right.
So like anyone can do that.
Yeah.
At first,
Big reach.
they were all free haircuts, but like,
That goes
like
fast.
my clients would tell their friends, "Yo, free haircuts." And then now, a ton of people know about me.
Right.
And then I just started doing more giveaways too, just to
Yeah.
get my
Just
name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember even when you were cutting in your basement, and I remember it like so clearly. We put on like Kendrick Lamar. We were playing Kendrick Lamar. I was like, oh, I have an idea, and I set up. This was when time lapse was the first became a thing on iPhones, and I set up the camera and we did a time lapse of you cutting my hair, and then I just like on my phone edited like Kendrick Lamar into the video, and then I posted it on my page, and then I've had so many people ask me where I get my haircut just from my stories.
See, yeah,
Just
that-
from Instagram.
So that was the best thing about barbering, right? Because when you
Yeah.
do a nice cut on one person, you reached all of their followers too.
Yeah.
If they post it up.
Would you ever do like tags like of the
Hashtags.
brands, hashtags and tags of the brands you're using? So like the clipper brands you're
Yeah.
using or the product or stuff like
You
that?
did?
Yeah. I've been reposted by like the tools that I use, like
Yeah.
True Barber, Wall.
Nice.
They've been reposting us.
For me, it was just the only hashtag I used was Edmonton Barber and YG Barber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to reach that clientele
Right.
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess going back to how things started, when did you start thinking about compound, and how did it start from just an idea in your head to this wonderful shop we have here?
So that story, I was cutting my good friend Kuya John. Kuya, by the way,
Yeah.
means older brother in my language. He's like older brother than me. He was seeing what I was doing, and he was seeing some potential in me too. And he was like, "Yo, Jules, I have an idea of like, you know, I want to kind of have a clothing brand and like a boutique shop.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing your cuts, and I feel like we could like collab and join forces, and you know, do a barbershop with some clothing too."
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first seed. Eventually, we started, you know, we pulled the trigger and we tried it out. We came up with the name Compound.
Mhm.
Lab, at the time it was called Lab. Lab was for lifestyle and barbering,
Yeah.
or lifestyle apparel and barbering.
And what did compound mean in that?
So we came up with the name Compound because compound, exactly, we wanted to show it was a mixture of different elements
Yeah.
that could kind of just work
Ah,
together, you know what I mean?
nice,
So
yeah.
elements of barbering, and there's an elements of fashion,
Yeah.
clothing, and we feel like, you know, barbering can just incorporate into lots of different like fashion and beauty industry, right?
Yeah.
So at the time we said, yeah, Compound's the name. So we came up with a team. It was Kuya John, it was also Kuya Dean, and myself. And at the time, it was difficult because we only had the clothing to market us.
Yeah.
You know, because I was still cutting at Alec's barbershop at the time. Yeah, and so our best, you know, our best way to market and promote ourselves was to like pop-up shops. If you remember So Good, we were in that pop-up shop, and there would be like dance events, like World of Dance.
Yeah.
We had a pop-up shop there too, and that's when I also invited Alec and Blue, because I saw the potential and like this is gonna be basically my team, so let's get them on there and start giving them exposure too.
Right.
So it was Alec, me, and Blue cutting, and then Kuya John and Kuya Dean were selling the clothes at So Good. I don't remember which So Good it was, maybe 2 or 3. But eventually, it got up to a point where the clothing wasn't. We were doing good, but we were also busy at the time because Kuya John him and his fiance was having a baby.
Yeah.
And so we weren't having enough time to meet up anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was very hard to keep that business going.
Yeah.
And so I told him, hey, let's put a pause on this first, you know.
Yeah.
You focus on your raising a family, I'll focus on my barbering and the team. And so eventually, closer and closer to the date, I think it was like 2018, me and Alec were like, yo, let's just...
Because we've always been the two guys that are like, yo man, we're gonna have a shop together, bro.
We gotta make it happen.
Like, we actually have to have action, right? Like, we can't just be talking about it. We actually have to.
So
when we did it, we were like, yo man, let's go. What's the first step? We just started talking to our accountant and shit.
We had good connections. That's the cool thing about barbering, was that we have so much clientele.
Yeah.
We had a friend who's an accountant. We had a friend who's in real estate. We have a friend who's a lawyer. We have a friend for business. Like that's the best part about barbering was our clientele.
But if you don't have those connections, then I don't know. Maybe use Google or something. If for the people that don't have those connections.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a benefit of barbering is all your clientele is so diverse.
We'll never buy anything full price anymore. We got discounts for everything.
Especially like you guys, like when you come into a shop, you know, like everyone's like super friendly. People know like both of you, and you guys are just willing to like talk to people and like make connections. And I think that's a big part. Like not everyone's like that. And that's probably
you mean when they come
been
to the
a big
barbershop?
part of that's been a big part of your success is being able to establish a positive culture and just establish a positive culture and develop those relationships that you have with people.
For me, it was simple because since we and him were been cutting in the basement, it's the same thing as welcoming a guest to your house.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna be hospitable. You're gonna make sure they're cool, they're good, and you just take that same mentality in the business. You know, every new client that comes in, make sure you're hospitable.
That's like our number one priority, man.
Exactly. Man. Yeah. Make sure they're feeling welcomed here, and
even if you mess up the haircut, they feel nice.
Welcome. They're not gonna come back.
Come back, man. You don't have to like.
I guess as young businessmen and entrepreneurs, what are some tips you'd have for other people or other young entrepreneurs that are looking to start their own business, whether it's barbering or something else?
I'll start. For me,
go ahead, man.
I feel like you can't always depend on motivation because motivation will not always be there. You're gonna have some highs and lows, right? There's gonna be days when you're really motivated and days when you're not. But I feel like what's more dependable would be discipline.
Right.
Discipline means doing what you have to do, even whether you're not motivated or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, a lot of people that are still my age. I'm 21, right? I just got out of high school a few years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even know what they want. They're just in school because they need to.
Yeah.
And all of that. But I'm just one of the lucky guys, I guess. I found out I wanted to be a barber right away in grade 12. I just kept doing it because I enjoyed it. Like I could literally cut hair right now. Like I can just charge for free and I'll still do it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's fun for me. Like I don't have to cut your hair. You need me more than I need you. I mean, like other barbers can cut your hair.
Yeah.
But they want me, I guess.
Right.
They don't cut your hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess in closing, what are some learning lessons you've learned along the way? Was there anything where you had to you're doing something you had to adjust or something you really helped you learn?
For me, I just got super lucky. Everything went pretty much my way, but because I'm just a young entrepreneur too, right?
Yeah.
lesson I learned, I guess, a good lesson was just jumping into it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't wait for nobody.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm gonna do this and hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
Just working towards something.
Yeah.
Always try to do something every day.
Yeah.
Like, not slack, right?
Yeah, to add on what Alec's saying, basically, you shoot first and then you aim after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you shoot for it, you go for it, and then you gotta just readjust what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
But the main thing is you do just go for it. You pull the
Some
trigger.
people just
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Like when me and Alec did it,
You gotta,
it was it's not a lot of. There wasn't much planning, but there was a lot of rolling with the punches.
we were like,
Yeah.
what's next step? Okay, let's do this.
Yeah. and
What's next?
step? Yeah.
We just, I don't
Yeah.
know, we just ask our
You just
connections.
readjust, right?
Yeah.
But we pulled the trigger first.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. Pull the trigger.
I guess that's how we got to the shop at a young age.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, you can even see that in the history of where Compound started, right? Like you said, started with clothes, and then at first that might have not worked out, but now after
We
some time,
readjusted.
you readjusted,
Now we can
and now
go
after some time, you're going back into clothing. You see that opportunity come up again, and you're taking hold of that opportunity.
I think another good thing to remember too is while you're young, you can be a lot more risk averse, risk taker.
Right. Yeah.
know?
You can take more risks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you don't have as much to lose. You don't have a family yet and stuff, right?
You
Yeah.
don't have to pay for a mortgage.
Yeah, you can be more risky, right?
Yeah.
That's a big advantage for young people.
Paying for
man.
rent.
Yeah.
It's a big advantage for young people. Take the risk because you still have a lot of time to correct.
Yeah.
And,
Even if you're
improve.
older, man, you can still take the risk.
That's true.
right?
There's no age,
There's
right?
no age, man.
limit now.
It's
Yeah.
never too late.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us. And if you need a fresh haircut, come see these guys.
Cheers.
Ah, you didn't get that.